What's up YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Hope everyone is doing well. In today's video, we're going to be creating a side menu feature using SwiftUI. And it's going to look a little something like this. We're going to have a really cool animation here. And I'm going to show you guys how to create a menu with whatever list of options you want. And we're going to create a scalable solution so that you guys can add or remove options or change the icons or the name very, very easily. And we are also going to be implementing this awesome feature where I'm going to show you how to actually navigate to a new screen or perform some sort of action when a navigation item or when one of these menu options is clicked. I haven't seen a video online yet that shows you how to do this, so this is exclusive content coming to you guys from my channel. So this is going to be really similar to what you see in an app like Twitter. I have the same feature built into my Twitter SwiftUI clone. If you guys want to check this out, I just dropped a course for this. It's live on Udemy now. The link is in the description. Let me actually pull this up. And right now you can get it for just 10 bucks, right? This is a complete version of Twitter built 100% using nothing but SwiftUI. It uses Cloud Firestore as the back end. It's super awesome. So if you guys want to go ahead and check that out, click the link in the description. And really quickly, guys, the source code for this feature will be available on my website at stephancodes.com/shop. And you just click on this side menu template and it will give you the UI kit version of this and the SwiftUI version of this. So you guys can get both versions so that you can drag and drop this side menu feature into any one of your applications, whether it's built using SwiftUI, UI kit, or a combination of both. So now let's go ahead and actually get started with our Xcode project and the code. So with Xcode open here, guys, we are going to go ahead and select iOS in the application, in the platform list up at the top, and then select app, and you're going to hit next. I'm going to call this side menu Swift UI tutorial. And make sure you have these three options selected: interfaces SwiftUI, lifecycles SwiftUI app, not UI kit app delegate, and then language is going to be Swift. And then we're going to hit create, and Xcode is going to create this project for us. And now we are going to have our little preview open, and we're going to start coding out what we want for this home screen before we get started with the actual side menu. So we are going to be creating a navigation view and some sort of bar button in the left. So really quickly, guys, I want you to just right click or command click onto this text and just hit like embed an H stack or something. And then we're going to say navigation view. And within that navigation view, we're also going to wrap this text inside of a Z stack. And you're going to add this color and just say .white. So I'm going to go over what exactly that does in just a second. Let's just go ahead and hit resume to make sure that our project is working correctly. And I'm going to select an iPhone 11 Pro Max for my preview. And we'll let this guy build and do its thing. All right, so basically what this ZStack color.white does is it gives my whole screen a background of white. So you guys will notice that I'm filling out the entire frame of the screen. That's going to be something that's important for our side menu feature a little bit later on. Now I want us to go over how to add this navigation button. So you guys could either do this with like an image of the user right there, or you could do something like a hamburger menu. I'm going to go over how to do both in this video. So really quickly, guys, find where your Z stack ends and go underneath that bracket, and you're going to say .navigation bar items. And you're going to select the leading option. So we're going to start with the little hamburger menu style, guys, and I highly recommend downloading this SF Symbols application. It has a giant list, or it's like a giant repository of all of the system images we now get provided with from Xcode. So you can see here we have a bunch of these different hamburger menu styles. I'm just going to select this list.bullet guy. And there's a way to copy it, but yeah, so you can just right click and hit copy name. And then down here, when we're creating our image view, I'm going to actually make this a button, and then you're going to select action and label. Action is going to come later, so just hit enter on that. But this guy, we're going to say image system name, and then go ahead and paste that guy in there. and I actually have to wrap it in quotes. Okay. So now we see that navigation bar item coming up, and that is looking pretty good. So now what I want us to do is figure out how to actually get it looking like the way we want it. So we're going to say .foreground color, and we're just going to say black. And that's going to change the foreground color of it. So that is all we're going to do for now with that. Now we are going to go down here and say navigation title, and we're going to say home. And you guys can leave it as this large title. If you want to change that and have it display as sort of this inline title, you're going to say navigation bar title display mode, and then you could select inline, and you guys would notice that it changes that. I, however, kind of like the automatic look or the large font look, so that's what we're going to keep it as. And here in this button action, we're just go ahead and add a print statement. So just go ahead, hit an enter there in between your brackets and say print debug show menu here. Now let's actually run our project and see what this is looking like. So now we should see a hamburger menu up at the top, and right now when we click on it, it's going to say show menu here. So that looks pretty good. So we're going to come back to this in a little bit, guys. This is just our home view, and eventually we're going to implement the capabilities to actually show our menu. But right now I want us to actually go ahead and start building out that menu. So let me go back to our application that we're building. We are going to create a couple views for this, right? So we're going to create this view as its own thing. It's going to be our header view, and then this is going to be like each individual option or cell right here is going to be its own view. And then we're also going to create a view model, so we have like a data model for this list. And then we are going to, this is all going to be contained in sort of one big view. So let's go ahead and create all these files right now. So go up to your project, and we're going to create some SwiftUI views. So first one is just going to be side menu view. Next one is going to be the side menu header view. The next one is going to be the cell, or you guys could call it option, whatever you want. I'm going to call it side menu option view. You could also just call it side menu cell. It's up to you. All right, and then we need our view model. So I'm going to go ahead and create this, and this is just going to be a Swift file, and we're going to say side menu view model. Okay, so that's going to just be sort of a blank file right now. So really quickly, guys, I want us to start with the side menu view. Okay, so I want us to get this like awesome gradient going on here, and so all of that good stuff. So let's see what we have to start doing there. So delete this text, and let's start with creating our gradient. So we're going to do the same thing we did with our home controller, or home view. I'm so used to saying controller. And instead of just having a white color, we're going to go ahead and select linear gradient, or create a linear gradient, and just select that option there. And you guys are going to get some options for some colors, start point and end point. I like to do the start point is top and the end point is going to be bottom. And then the colors are just going to be color.blue and color.purple. So this is just going to give your UI like a super cool look. It's absolutely not necessary. I just, wanted to spice up this video a little bit and give the UI like a clean sort of interface. So now that we've done that, let's hit resume, and let's see what we get back from our preview. So we get this, awesome gradient. It's looking just like this. So in order to get it to expand up into these safe areas, we're just going to go and add a modifier called .ignores safe area. I hate it when it does that, man. I think there's a bug with Xcode where like the autocomplete for that option is messed up. At least it is for me. So just type out ignores safe area, and now you can see that it's going to fill out the whole screen. So now, guys, our overall container is this Z stack, and now we're going to start adding our elements here, right? So I'm going to create a V stack. And that's because we can see that all of our items here are vertically stacked. Okay, so basically we're going to put the header first, then we're going to put the option view or cells, right? We could just call it cell items or something like that. And that's going to be about it, right? So we have to now create this header and then create these cells. And then we're just going to drag and drop them in here, or not really drag and drop, but you guys get what I mean. So now let's go to our side menu header view file, and we are going to start with this image up here. So let's go ahead and create a VStack to place all of this stuff in, because as you know, it's an item here, then beneath it we have these guys, then beneath it we have these guys. So we're just going to delete this text and say VStack, and then we are going to create an image. And I have this image in my assets, guys. If you guys, you can replace this with any image that you like. I just downloaded this from the internet and dragged and dropped it into my project. I'll see if I can include the image if you guys really want it in the description to this video. But anyway, let's just keep going. Like I said, any image can be used there. So here we're going to say .resizable, .scaled to fill, and then .clipped, and the frame is going to be width and height is going to be 64. Then we're going to say clip shape is a circle. And then we are going to give it a padding of bottom of 16 pixels. So let's go ahead and hit resume here. And see how that looks while it does its thing. And that's looking pretty good. Guys, to get this shoved all the way up to the top, beneath our image, just go ahead and add a spacer. And you guys will notice that it moves that all the way up to the top. I'm not sure why it keep having me hit resume. But yeah, now it's all the way up top, and that looks pretty good, right? And then for our alignment on the VStack, we're going to say .leading. And it's not going to do anything right now because it's, the width of the VStack is only as wide as the image is right now, but later on that stuff is going to move over to the left side of the screen once we add this little X button up there. So we're going to do that in a little bit. I want us to keep going with all of these view components, however. So then we're going to say text, and I'm just going to say Eddie Brock, and it's going to be .font, and then go ahead and in the parentheses just say .ss and then select system size, and it's going to be 24, and then do a comma and say weight is .semi-bold. That's 14. I want 24. Cool. And then we are going to say eventually, guys, we're going to change the foreground color to white. Right now we're just trying to build out the view. Then we're going to say text, and it's going to be @Venom, and the font is going to be I believe it's just a font of system size 14. And that looks pretty good. Now we're going to work on how to create these guys right here. So this is going to be a little bit tricky. So we have an H stack, right? And then each one of these items, it's also its own H stack. So, this is kind of just like showing you guys how to build some cool things in SwiftUI. I promise we are going to get to the actual meat and potatoes of creating the side menu. So let's just go ahead and create this H stack really quickly. I'm actually just going to copy and paste it, guys, and explain it to you to save time. So we have an H stack here, and now we notice that everything is shoved over to the left side of the screen, and that's because we put a spacer on this H stack. But let's talk about what this actual guy is. So if I highlight this guy here, right? So make sure you guys pause the video and type this stuff out. You're going to notice that the frame stretches all the way to the right side of the screen. It's the full width of the screen. Then within this parent H stack, I have an H stack for this guy and an H stack for this guy. Okay, so we're just creating some number text and then bolding it, and then it's following, and then another H stack for this guy over here. And they're all contained in this parent H stack. And the way we get everything over to the left side of the screen is by adding this spacer right here, right? So this spacer is part of our V stack, and it shoves everything up to the top. And then this spacer is part of our H stack, and it shoves everything to the left. So that's pretty cool. Now we can just go down all the way here to the end of our VStack and say .padding, and it's going to give everything a little bit more padding. And we are also, guys, going to want to add some padding beneath these guys right here. So let's see, how are we going to do that? So we can just add some padding underneath Venom, or we could add some padding to the H-stack, doesn't matter which one. So I'm going to just go say .padding, .bottom, and now let's make it like 32. And you guys notice that that moves it down a lot right there for us, which looks pretty good. If you guys want to mess with the spacing, you can just adjust the padding of this bottom padding on this Venom guy to get this where you want it to be. All right, so that looks pretty good. Now, guys, I want us to go and drop this in to our side menu view. So let's just go replace this comma, or this comment that says header, and say side menu header view, and open up our constructor. And we notice that that looks pretty good, right? And to get all of these things to have the correct foreground color, there's two ways. I believe we could just go here and say .foreground color is .white, and it will change everything to that white color. Or you could go and individually add all of this to your items in the header view, or you could cut that out and just go back to your header view, and at the end of your VStack, just say, .foreground color is white. And it won't show up in your parent view or this preview unless you change the background color there. But if we go back here, we notice that everything looks good right there. All right, so next I want us to create our option views right here. And then we will pretty much be ready to start implementing the functionality to get our side menu to show up when we click our button. We just have to finish out with our cell items guy right here in our data model. So guys, let's hop over to this option view file, and we are going to create this option view really quickly. So as we can see, it's just going to be an H-stack with an image and some text. So we're going to say H-stack, and we want the spacing right now, to be set to 16. And then we're just going to say image, and we're going to say system name, and just say person. And then you can say .frame width is going to be 24. Height is also going to be 24. And then you're just going to go ahead and create your text, which is just going to say like profile for right now, and it's going to be .font, .system size. We're going to say 15. Weight is .semi-bold. And then on the whole H-stack, you're going to say padding, and you're also going to say foreground color is white. Okay, so let's go back to our side menu view, and we can just add this in here. So we want to add a bunch of them, right? So we're going to use a for loop to do that, and eventually, if you guys want to see how to add like a data model to this, I'm going to show you how to do that as well. So it's going to be for each, and then select that guy. And for data, we're just going to have a static set of numbers right now, or indices. And then on content, tab over to it, hit enter, delete everything but the underscore in, and keep the brackets obviously. And then you're just going to say, what's it called? Side menu option view. And hit resume up at the top. And you guys should notice that it creates a bunch of little option views for us. So that's looking pretty good, right? Now what we want to do is actually move all of this over to the right. So sorry, the left. So we're going to add a spacer to each one of these guys right here. So I'm going to go back to my side menu option view, and inside of this H-stack, just go ahead and add a spacer. And then go back to your side menu view, and you guys will notice that everything is shoved over to the left side of the screen. And because we have that padding on each one of the options, it's like it sticks out a little bit, right? So you guys could like change around the options a bit, and you guys will notice that we want to eventually be able to move all of that up to the correct spot. and we will be doing that in a little bit. Or actually, we could just go ahead and take care of it now. So on your side menu header view, give it a frame and then say height is 240. And then you guys will notice that everything sort of gets squished down because we have now set the frame on this guy. So what we can do on this VStack is just add a spacer, and it's going to move everything up to the top, right? So that looks pretty good. Now we can, change our options to have as many as we want, and everything is looking nice. So I'm just going to keep it at, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's just do 6. Right, so that looks good. Now we can actually get started with what we need to do to show this side menu. So I'm going to hop back into my content view, and the first thing we need to do is create a state variable. And that state variable, guys, is going to keep track of whether or not the side menu is showing. And we're going to go through the code and say, hey, if that is showing property is true, then I want you to show the side menu and perform all the animations and do all that stuff. And then once we click this button and toggle it back to false, we're going to say is showing is false. It's just going to, bring it back, and that's actually going to be handled by this close button right here. But that's going to come in a little bit. So actually just go ahead up at the top of your content view and say state private var is showing equals false. And what we're going to have to do before anything else, guys, is I want us to extract this view right here and put this and call this like home view. It's going to make things easier for us to understand. So go ahead and you could command click on this Z stack and say extract subview. And this will only work, these options will only come up if you have the canvas open. So hit extract subview, and we're just going to call this home view. All right, so the reason I'm doing that is because we're going to create another Z stack here. So what I want us to do is on this home view, command click into that and say embed in Z stack. Right, so now the Z stack we're going to have is going to be between the menu and the home view. Right, so we're going to put the menu view, the side menu view, behind the home view, and we're going to say, hey, if is showing is true, then I want you to show me the menu view. So we're just going to say if is showing, and then we're going to say side menu view. And then what we're going to need to do is you guys will notice that we can actually take all this stuff here and put it onto our home view right there. So this way, our navigation bar button items is still part of the home view, and the navigation title is still going to work and all that stuff. But because we're going to need to actually access this button action. And if we didn't put it there, we could have kept it here, but then we would have had to introduce a binding variable and all that stuff, and that's kind of annoying. So we're just going to keep it here, and we're going to say is showing dot toggle. And let's go ahead and see what happens when we do that. Let me get rid of my screen flow. All right, so I'm going to go here, and you guys are going to see that the menu view is actually now coming up behind this view. But we obviously want to have the effect of moving that view over and animating it a little bit. So we're going to go over how to do that now. So on your home view, just go right beneath it, and we're going to say dot offset, and you're going to select the option for X and Y. So basically, if is showing is true, we want to offset the x-axis of the home view by, we're going to call it 300 pixels. Okay, so we're going to say offset is showing yes, 300, no, 0, and y is just going to be 0 for now. So let's go ahead and run that and see how that looks. So we notice that things change up quite a bit there, and that looks okay, but there's some problems, right? So we notice that the navigation bar is still showing, and it's showing in the menu view, and we don't really want that. So what we're going to go in and do is figure out how to hide that guy when the menu is showing. So let's see, we're going to go back to, I believe, the side menu view, and just on the Z stack, just go ahead here and say .navigation bar hidden and say true. And I think hiding it from the side menu view will solve our problem. So yes, so now we notice that this guy moves over and that our side menu view looks good where it is. There's no navigation bar up at the top. But there's a couple more things we have to fix. We actually want to animate that over, right? We don't want it to just like move over without any animation because that doesn't look as smooth with our UI. So sorry guys, I got like a nasty knot in my back from filming too much. Anyway, let's go back to our content view. And so we have our offset, right? So in order to do this, we're just gonna cut out this isShowing.toggle guy. And we're gonna say with animation, and then, oops, let me see exactly how to type that. Yeah. And then just say dot spring, and then do some brackets, and then you're gonna say showing menu or isShowing.toggle. Go ahead and build that to make sure everything succeeds. Right now, we can run this, and we're gonna see that it has sort of a spring-like animation, right? So now it's actually animating over, and it's really smooth. So next thing, guys, is we need to go over how to actually like add this corner radius to our view and have it scale down a little bit and all that stuff. So that's what we're going to be doing right now, and then we're going to go over how to actually implement this X button to be able to get back to our main screen. So a couple more properties we're going to add. Just go up at the top and say dot corner radius and say showing menu. Or sorry, I keep saying showing menu. Yes is 20, no is 10. And then we are going to go after the offset guy, and we're going to say dot scale effect, and you're going to say showing menu. Damn it, I keep saying showing menu. 0.8 and no is 1. So what this is going to do is it's going to give it that cool like corner radius effect to where it rounds the edges of this view. And then we're also going to make it scale down a little bit, and we're also going to add a Y parameter to this guy here so that we can actually show our X button up there. So for the Y parameter on your offset, right, we're going to say is showing. Yes is going to be 44, no is going to be 0. So now we're going to see that this has that really cool sort of animation effect of like moving down like that. And it's got that really nice spring animation, and everything is looking pretty good, right? So now we just need to add our X button up at the top so that we can actually bring the menu back into view, or bring the home screen back into view. So we're going to be placing this guy inside of our header, and we're going to go over how to do that now. So go back to your header view, and we are going to wrap this VStack into a Z-stack. So just command click on it, embed in Z-stack. And for your alignment property, we're going to say .top trailing. So this is going to allow us to put something on the top right side of our screen. So we're just going to go and create this button and select action and label. Leave the action blank for now. And for the image, we're going to say system name, and it's going to be xmark, and we're going to say dot frame, and let's say width is 40, or let's say 32, height is 32, dot foreground color is dot white, and we're going to say dot padding. And let's just go ahead and run this right now to see if that is coming up the way we want it to. So I go here, and that looks okay, right? So we'll adjust the size and all that stuff maybe a little bit later. The most important thing is that it's showing up. Now what I want us to do is go over how to actually get this to make our home view animate back in. So we're going to introduce something called a binding variable here. Is showing, and it's going to be a bool. And the action for this guy is going to say is showing dot toggle. And now if we try to build our project, you guys are going to notice that we get an error. And if we go back to our side menu view, you guys are going to notice that we are missing this parameter here called is showing. So we're going to go here, and what we need to do in our side menu view is actually go and say at binding var is showing, and make that a Boolean variable, and then pass that guy in here with a $sign to show that it's a binding variable. And we're gonna have to, you can actually just go down here to your preview. And for the binding guy, you can say .constant and just say true. And I believe we have to do that in the header view as well. So go here, just say .constant is true. We don't really need the preview anymore, guys. So if you wanted to, you could just delete that. But our final error is going to come in another place. And this is where our state variable is going to come into play. So go ahead and implement the fix there and pass in is showing for this state variable here. And let's go ahead and run this and see if it works. And then I'm going to explain exactly what's going on there. So we go here and then we hit that and boom, it's coming back into view, but it is not animating the way we want it to. So to fix that, it's pretty simple. We just go ahead and copy this and we're going to go back to our side menu header view and we are going to delete this guy, hit enter and just paste that in there. So guys, what is this binding property for those of you who don't know? So basically, we want this variable to do something back in our home screen, right? But this is located in the side menu header view. So basically, we have to bind this is showing variable from all the way from the header back to the side menu, back to our actual content view where we control this is showing property. So because they are now bound together, like that binding property is essentially bound to this state property, right? Because when we create the side menu view, we pass in this property. So whenever that binding variable changes, it's going to change this guy as well. And then it's going to reconfigure our view and it's going to say, hey, is showing is now false. So I want you to go ahead and go back through all of this view logic and do what you need to do based on the instructions we've given the code. So like for example here with this offset guy, we're saying if is showing is true, we want it offset by 300. And if it's not, we want it offset by 0. Same for the Y parameter. It's offset by 44 if it's showing and 0 if it's not. So when this changes to false, all of this gets reconfigured and shows us the home view coming back into view with that really, really nice animation right there. So guys, that is essentially it for the side menu feature. If you guys want to stick around to figure out how to implement our data model and then how to eventually actually, make it so that each one can go to its own screen, stick around for the rest of the video. If not, that's essentially, the bare bones of the side menu feature. And now we're going to get into creating our data model and actually linking an action to each one of our side menu options or cells. All right, guys, so we can go ahead and just close out of this preview. So we can say show editor only. And I'm going to go to my side menu viewmodel.swift file. And this is going to be an enumeration. So I'm going to just call this side menu viewmodel. And it's going to be an integer type enum. And it's going to conform to this case iterable protocol. It says a type that provides a collection of all its values. We'll see how that becomes useful in a little bit. So really quickly, let me just go ahead and mirror all of these options. Or let me just open up my code. So here's how this is going to work, guys. We're going to create a case for each one of our options like this. So case profile, case lists, blah, blah, blah. I'm just going to go ahead and paste the rest of them in here. And you guys can actually, just customize this however you like. Here's the trick. So we're going to create this description property, or we could call it title if we like. And it's going to be a string. So basically for each one of these cases, we want it to give us back a string, and that is going to represent the title of each one of these guys. So I'm just going to copy and paste that in here as well. Basically all you do, guys, and let me indent this properly. Oops, Control I. Okay, I guess that's indented properly. So yeah. Basically, when you do a switch through self, it's going to iterate through all of your cases, right? Because self represents this enum structure here. So when we do a switch, like I said, it just goes through each one of these cases and asks us to return a string. And we're going to do the same exact thing for our image name, right? So now each one of these cases is going to have an image name associated with it. And once again, I will just copy and paste this in the interest of saving time and go through the explanation with you guys. So actually, sorry, say switch self and then paste all them in there. So right now we just have this profile title and this person image. Then these are all the system images that we get back from the Xcode like sort of repository of images now. So we have list, bookmark, messages, oops, that's coming in a little bit, notifications, and log out, arrow.left.square, bell, bubble.left, all that stuff. And like I said, guys, you should download this SF Symbols app, and it gives you a list of all the images in the repository. So like if you go out and start typing something like, message, hit enter, it gives you a bunch of these message icons. Or if you say bubble, then you can see all the bubble icons, and you can choose from that stuff. It also has a bunch of multicolor options, right? So if I select, I don't know, you guys get the idea. Let's see, show inspector, whatever. Yeah, but there's a ton of icons. Highly recommend downloading that. And that's where you access all these guys. And now that we have our view model, and I will explain this a little bit more, let's go back to our side menu view. And when we do this for loop, we are going to say side menu view model dot all cases. And here we're just going to, now we're going to have access to each one of our options inside of this for each loop. And how we get them to actually display the correct data is to, let's see, why isn't that working? Oh, we have to conform to identifiable. So we have to say ID \self here. And this is just something that is required by SwiftUI when you're creating like a for each loop with some sort of list like that, or when it contains a view, each view has to have its own identifier. So now if we go back to our side menu option view, we are going to require that we pass in an option here. Side menu view model, or we could say, view model actually. And here, instead of system name, we're going to say view model dot image name, and then this is going to say view model dot title. And here you can just go ahead and pass in our view model, and you could make it any one of the options that we made. Now you guys see that through this enum notation, we have the access through each option through this dot notation. So that's pretty cool. Like I can say dot profile or dot messages or dot whatever it is, because all of those are now represented as cases in an enumeration. So now guys, if we go back and actually go here, we can say view model and just pass in your option, whatever you want to call it. You could call it a view model, call it an option. You could call it Bob if you want. It doesn't matter, right? Although you should, keep your naming pretty consistent and have it make sense. But now we can see that each one of these guys has its own data, and that was all handled through our enumeration here, where we created the case for each one and then gave each one a title and an image name. And then back in our option view, we populate each one with a view model object and then say, hey, this is going to get created however many times. For the image, I want you to get the image name of the particular option that we're on and the title for that text. So now really quickly, guys, I want to show you how to go to an individual screen with each option. So go back to your side menu view and really quickly, just go ahead and cut this guy out and go ahead and say navigation link, open it up, and then say destination and label. The label, we're just going to paste that guy back in there. And the text, we can literally just say, option.description, or sorry, option.title. And now let's go and run this and see if it's working. And then I'll give you guys a brief explanation of that data model one more time. So now I can click on these options, and they are all like these navigation links, and that looks really good. So really quickly, guys, when you go back, if you want your menu to show, you can leave it just like this. Or if you want the home screen to come back into view, you can just go back to content view, and you can go to the end of your Z stack and say .on appear, and just delete that guy and say, so it's just on appear with brackets, and then you can just say is showing equals false. So now if I go and click on an option, go to profile, and I go back, we can see that my home screen comes back into view. So if you guys wanted it the same way it was before, just don't add that code or delete it if you did, and it will make it so that every time you go back to the home screen, the side menu is showing, or you could have it show the home screen. So that's going to be it for this video, guys. Once again, don't forget about my latest course release, which is this Twitter SwiftUI clone, where it's a full-scale application built with nothing but SwiftUI and done fully in the MVVM framework. And you have a direct messaging feature and a bunch of awesome things in there. So go and check the course out. It's available at this price for the next 4 days at the time this video is made. And you can click the link in the description to go and get yourself that discount. Also, the source code for this is going to be located on my website at stephancodes.com/shop. Once again, it will include the UI kit version of this as well as the SwiftUI version of this. And it's going to be 50% off right now at a low price of $20. So thank you guys for watching this video. Really quickly, if you guys want to stick around for some more explanation, go ahead. So the last thing I need to explain is this case iterable protocol. And basically what this does is make it so that we can iterate through each one of our cases and sort of treat this whole thing like an array. So when we go to our side menu view and we say .all cases, so we're doing a for each loop on all of the cases inside of our enumeration. And that's because we are conforming to that case iterable protocol and get access to that. And then for each one, we're creating a navigation link. Here's the destination for that navigation link, and here is the label, which ultimately gives us this awesome side menu feature. So that's the only thing left that I really had to explain, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you guys subscribe to my channel, like this video, comment on it with what else you want to see from me, and thanks for watching, guys. Peace out. Until next time.